Hi everyone, welcome to EDU 5101. In this video I just want to quickly walk you all through what's in our syllabus. I actually already shot one of these videos, but I'm having to redo it because of some tech issues. I'm assuming you don't enjoy listening to videos that sound like there's a fighter jet in the background. Now this video isn't meant to be a replacement for reading the syllabus, so please do so, but I just wanted to give you an idea of what's contained in the syllabus and draw your attention to a few important points. So if you open up the syllabus, the first thing you'll see is the course information and my contact information. So the purpose of this course is to critically examine major historical, contemporary, and emerging ideas concerning the nature of learning, teaching, and education, as well as the cultural developments and philosophical traditions that have shaped them. I have another video where I talk about these sorts of ideas and the course objectives, and I will link that down below for you. A lot of this will be done in group discussions you'll be doing, or multi-literacy circles, which you'll be reflecting on in a portfolio. We'll also be working on writing our philosophy of teaching and learning to reflect on our experiences and apply course concepts to our own practice. And at the end, we'll be exploring an educational issue of our choosing, which we'll present to the rest of the class in our conference week. And for this course, we do have a textbook, Engaging Minds, Cultures of Education and Practices of Teaching, 3rd edition. You can get this through the U Ottawa bookstore in person or online, or you can find it elsewhere online. At the beginning of the syllabus, I also list some student support services that are here to help you. Please take a few minutes to review these. There are two here that I wanted to draw your attention to: librarians and the Indigenous Resource Center. So librarians are the unsung and completely underutilized heroes of the university. A lot of students don't realize that the librarians are there to help you. The Faculty of Education even has its own librarian. So check out page 5 on the syllabus for more details. And the Indigenous Resource Center is fantastic. They work with the university and services to develop initiatives supporting First Nations, Inuit, and Métis students, and they have resources and services for these students. However, they are also a fantastic resource for non-Indigenous students who want to learn more about Indigenous issues. In my experiences as a learner and a teacher here at U Ottawa, they really love seeing Indigenous issues and educational perspectives integrated into the mainstream core curriculum. As a student, I've consulted with them on my projects before, and they even came to one of my classes where I was doing a group project on Indigenous feminism, which was pretty cool. I've also had some of my students go there for projects on the history of the residential schools, and they were very welcoming and even lent them some books. So following this, I share some important policies, but I'm not going to read through all of these. But I do ask that you take a few moments to review them. There are a few that I want to quickly highlight here. So attendance is compulsory in our faculty, but what does that actually mean in an online class? Well, instead of having traditional class, we'll be doing online activities. So for example, for the first couple of weeks, we'll be having discussions on Brightspace discussion boards, followed by group discussions in your MLC modules, and then we'll be having an online course conference. I can also see your login frequency and whether you've actually opened discussion posts on Brightspace, so if you're not participating, I will know. Now, I have taken online courses too as a student. And my biggest piece of advice to you is don't leave your online coursework till the very end of the module and then try to just blast through everything in one night. You're not going to learn much this way, and neither will your group members because you're not really contributing. And that interaction with your peers is so key to an online course like this. Blasting through everything in one night is also just a really stressful approach to your MEd, so I don't really recommend it. What I do recommend is logging on for a few minutes every day, maybe 15 to 30 minutes at nighttime. Just kind of check in with your group and see what's going on. I've also seen other students add their MLC group members to a WhatsApp chat, and they just kind of message each other throughout the week about their course materials. The next policy I want to draw your attention to is the late assignment policy. And I really don't like deducting marks for late papers because I think that my assessment, feedback, and grades should all actually reflect your learning and your ability to express it to me. I know you're all adults and you're all busy, and sometimes life just happens, so please do email me if you need an extension on anything. Next up is the accommodation of people with exceptionalities. So please let me know if you need any sort of accommodation. I'm more than happy to accommodate you. And fourth is academic integrity and fraud. And this one can be basically just summarized as please don't plagiarize. If you're unfamiliar with citing things properly in APA, just reach out to me and I can send you some resources. I've also had some students in the past plagiarize because of pressure to get an assignment done on time. Please don't compromise the academic integrity of your work just for the sake of a deadline. If you need an extension, just ask. And now for everyone's favorite part, the assignments. So for this course, I've tried to make the assignments very practical and easy to connect to your own interests and context. I've also tried to give you quite a bit of freedom in what you explore, so it's something that actually is interesting to you and is meaningful, while ensuring we also all fulfill the course objectives. So I'm going to do a quick overview of the assignments here. I am thinking of doing a video on each assignment. Let me know if that would be helpful for you, and let me know if there's any specific questions you'd want me to address in a video. So your course mark is determined by 3 categories of assignments: the philosophy of teaching and learning, multiliteracy circle work, and the educational issues project, where you'll be exploring a contemporary or emerging educational issue of your choosing. So the philosophy of teaching and learning assignments are worth a total of 25% of your final mark, and there are 2 assignments here. So part 1 is an exploration of your values and educational experiences that may influence your beliefs about teaching and learning, and this is worth 10%. And part 2 is where you'll actually write out your philosophy of teaching and learning, bringing in theory and some supporting literature, and this is worth 15% of your final mark. The purpose of these assignments is to reflect on your teaching practice, whether it's current or your future practice, and your values and your beliefs with regards to teaching and learning. Philosophies of teaching are often required when applying to jobs in the education field, including the health professions, so it is a very useful document to have on hand. Now, these assignments are both short assignments. Part 1 is 250 to 400 words, and part 2 is 500 words. I anticipate most people will do these as a written assignment, but if you'd rather do something like a video, just let me know. Part 1 is due September 21st, and part 2 is due on November 9th. The next category of assignments is your multiliteracy circles work, which is worth 35% of your final mark. And I have posted a very detailed document outlining this category of assignments on Brightspace, so please do check that out along with the syllabus. But in short, this category consists of the discussions you'll be having with your MLC groups. These are a type of literature circle, wherein for each of these modules, you will be assigned a different role within the group for that week, including the reader response lead, discussant, summarizer, and commentator. And from this work, you'll have 2 assignments to submit to me. The first is an MLC portfolio, where you'll be reflecting on the work you do in each module. So for this, you'll be responding to 6 prompts for each module, including your role for that week, your artifact from that week, such as the discussion question if you're the discussant, what went well, what could be even better, new learning and its application to your practice, and connections to your teaching philosophy. This is worth 20% of your grade and is submitted following the completion of our MLC modules. So the due date for this one is November 25th. Our second assignment here is the reader response paper. And this is a paper you'll be writing during your week as the reader response lead for your group. You'll write it at the beginning of that module and share it with your group by the first Friday of the module. And this paper is really meant to stimulate discussion in your group rather than it just being a summary of the readings. So bring in some extra literature, talk about how it compares or maybe doesn't compare at all to your own experiences. Be critical. Your group will also give you feedback on this prior to submitting it to me for grading. And the paper should be about 750 words, and it's due to me on the first Wednesday of the following module. So if you're the reader response lead for standardized education, you'll submit it to me on the first Wednesday of authentic education. The final category of assignments is the educational issues project. And this is a really fun one because you get to pick a contemporary issue or emerging educational issue from your context and create a product to share with our class. You may also want to create a product that you can use in your workplace. In our class introduction, so many of you have highlighted some major educational issues that you're currently encountering in your workplace, so you could probably shape one of these into your final project. Now, what do I mean by product? Well, rather than having you write a traditional paper, I really want you to explore and showcase your learning through an alternative format that's meaningful to you and your target audience. So you might choose to do a website, some sort of presentation like a narrated PowerPoint, a Powtoon, some sort of video, a poster presentation, or an infographic. You may also want to do more of an arts-informed approach, like choreographing a dance, doing a painting, a spoken word, something like that. Now, for some of these communication methods, I may also ask you to submit a short reflection, written or video, explaining your professional decision-making and a bit more about the educational issue, because in some of these modalities, it is a little bit more difficult to explain the related learning theories. For example, it could be very difficult to demonstrate all of the assignment criteria through just choreographing and performing a dance. But you could perform a dance and then have a reflection where you explain the significance of the choreography, the background of the issue, its links to theory. So kind of like how they explain the choreography on So You Think You Can Dance. And for this category of assignments, there's 3 assignments. First, I ask that you submit a proposal for your assignment, and this is worth 10% of your grade and is due October 5th. And this proposal should give me a clear idea of what you want to do your project on, and allows me to give you some feedback before you get too far into preparing your project. Your proposal should include the topic, the specific question or argument you want to explore, your target audience for your product, your chosen communication method, an explanation of how this project will demonstrate your achievement of the learning objectives for this course, and at least 3 scholarly sources that you think will inform your work. And the second part of this is your actual product. And the length of your product will really depend on your format and your topic, so please talk to me if you have any questions about this. I anticipate that most text-based assignments should be around 2,000 words and videos about 15 minutes. Your final product should contain a few components here. So first, you want to have a description of the issue and the question you're answering, an overview of the historical origins, related learning theories, a review of the scholarly and professional literature on the issue, some implications, or the so what and next step pieces of the project, and a conclusion. There are 2 deadlines for this project, so I ask that you share a draft of your project with your MLC group, in whatever state it's currently in, on November 23rd, so you can give each other some feedback over the week. I'll also be floating around on the discussion boards that week to give some feedback as well. And then the following week on November 30th, you will post your final product to share with the class. And this will be our conference week, which I'll come back to in a moment when I talk about the course schedule. And the final part of this category is critical reflection, which is due on the last day of the course, December 9th, and is worth 5% of your mark. And this is just a really short 300-word reflection. And the purpose of this is to tie together the course and reflect on what your learning means to you as an educator. This is an opportunity for you to reflect on any additions or changes you may want to make to, say, your philosophy of teaching and learning, since this is something that changes over the course of our teaching careers. You may have learned something new in a later module, or even from another student's presentation that you would like to integrate. I know quite a few other classes in this program do philosophies of teaching and learning for assignments, so focusing your reflection here might be very advantageous for future assignments. And please see the syllabus for further details about these assignments, including the rubrics I'll be using for grading. And speaking of grading, the grading scale is on page 18 of our syllabus, and I've also included my own description of each letter grade. And on page 19, you can find the course schedule, including the topics we're covering and the assigned readings. And here you can see that I've broken up the class into 7 modules. The first module is an introductory module where we're getting to know one another, getting familiar with the course, and kind of getting our feet wet with regards to learning theories. Modules 2 through 5 are our MLC modules, and these weeks we'll be exploring the 4 educational moments in Engaging Minds, with each moment having its own 2-week module dedicated to it. And Module 6 is our conference week. So that first week is our peer feedback week, where you're sharing your drafts with your group, asking questions, making refinements. And the following week is our conference. And I haven't come up with a snappy name for this conference yet, so if you have any suggestions, please do share them with me. And here we'll be posting our products online and viewing each other's work. I'll be organizing your presentations all into sessions to make things easier to navigate. So for example, we may have a session on anti-racism, which groups projects on anti-racism together. So you can find them all in one place. We may also have ones on things like inclusive classrooms or health education. This will really depend on the interests of the class. And Module 7 is really just a week for me to wrap up some of the overall concepts and themes from our course. And this is also the week where you'll submit your final critical reflection. Following this, we have a bibliography, and this just lists some peer-reviewed journals and books that may be of use to you. I can also make recommendations based on your personal interests. And the following page lists some potentially helpful online tools like Powtoons, sites where you can create free websites, infographics, mind maps, things like that. And I highly recommend holding on to this list because it will definitely be helpful in your other courses. And the final pages include all of my rubrics for the course. And that's all for now, folks. I hope this overview was helpful. If you have any questions, please post something in our Ask Me a Question Google Doc, email me, or even comment down below. And as always, I will see you all online.